Well, the show's a really beautiful show. It's the first time I actually can see the work. That's usually I'm the caretaker and see it in storage. It's almost impossible to look at the work. You need it in a space. And I keep reminded from time to time that she was really a wonderful artist. The work is so vibrant and exciting, and I love paint. I love actually painting. I'm an artist, and mostly I lean towards form and space and sculptural, conceptual ideas. And hers is paint, and you almost want to go out and start painting. It's really exciting to see vibrant colors. Her palette is never boring. It's always dynamic. And that's the first thing that I noticed in the show, is that the color palette is very diversified. Hers is very dynamic and exciting. And I every time I see it, I'm always surprised. And it's good to see work I've never seen before. There's work in there that, in this show, that I didn't know it existed, because it was long ago. She either sold it or gave it away. And I'm surprised to find that she was able to, the curator, to find this work through private collections. I think, there's oftentimes younger artists and mostly women who are artists, young artists, come up to me and say, Joan is such a positive role model for me. And I just needed to tell you that. I don't know who they are. And I'm always shocked, and I'm like, wow, that's wonderful, that, Joan's been gone for 21 years. She wasn't much of a talker of art. She was more of a doer. She didn't like too much conceptual. She just couldn't stand that kind of thing, conceptual, thinking too much, getting heady and thinking about art. She was more of a just hands-on, go from your heart. And she's had visual training where she could just rely intuitively than intellectually. And I think she found that kind of doing things political is sort of hinders, it takes away from the art. It's another issue. And she was interested in art. She loved to paint. And she loved to paint her own, do makeup, she'd cake it on. Girly stuff. She just was a painter. So she wasn't painting canvases, she was painting herself, even if it was going to the corner store to get something. And I think her work is feminist because she was a woman, independent and self-reliant, and didn't rely on others or men. She didn't rely on other male artists as influence or role models. She found to be her own role model in making positive and good decisions. It's taken me years to rediscover her. It's when you're right smack in the middle of the woods, you just can't see the trees and appreciate it, She loved for me to talk to her while she was painting and to criticize her work. She just thought it was a scream, and I was brutal with her. And we'd both laugh really hard. And oftentimes, if there was something wrong aesthetically, I would point it out, and she said, "Oh, I've been painting on this for a week. I didn't see that," because she was so into it. And the canvases are huge. It's sort of like walking into the canvas. She just sort of liked to walk on it and lay it on the floor and then put it on the ceiling and physically, almost sculpturally, be in that space, crawling into that space. I took it for granted because it was a part of, like mother's milk, being around art all my life, it was like mother's milk. And I took it for granted. A lot of people don't have that kind of lifestyle, My father's an artist, my mother's an artist, my stepfather, Gordon Cook, who she was married to, was an artist. I was around art all my life, from birth, As a child, I even ingested one of her paintings. It was that thick. As a baby, and damn near died from it, eating it. the thick paintings. You could see how a child would want to grab it, and the dogs would like rub up against it, these paintings, and have paint and track it all over the house. She had paint all over her, and I took something for granted that really was just a part of our lives, It was normal for us. I think because her work is so personal that you connect to it. The public at large love self-portraits. They connect deeply to it because it's universal. And I think she works on that level. She has a bigger audience. And I feel that people connect to that more, whatever art form, literature or film, or because we're human, we're naturally interested in people and find that have a lot in common, human emotions. And I think you see that in her work. I mean, I was just telling Gloria I love that painting of her dressed up and dolled up for a hot date, but she's painting at the easel with the paint splatter all over the floor, which was actually true because she painted in an environment like that, but not dressed up. She'd have these pink outfits that were jumpsuits that were like, 10 years of wiping paint. So the whole thing was, and she used to embarrass me as a kid, said, "You're not going shopping with that outfit on, are you?" And it would be like, pink galore, It was hilarious. But Joan's having a wonderful year and incredible year, a lot of grace. This show is just grew, There was a lot of changes in this show. It was a totally different show about a year ago. I'd like to see somehow the work interacting in a public way. It's in the future. I don't know how that will happen, but I would like to see it go that way. She's well known in New York by, her generation, remember Joan, and actually have very kind and they admired her and respected her as an artist, which is I'm touched by that. It's a wonderful show. I wish it could have traveled because I think it's a great show. I think there's an audience, and I wish that there maybe was some sort of write-up for those who couldn't see the show, that are in a different part of the country but admire her work. There was maybe a little catalog or something. But I can't. This is wonderful, and there is another show coming up in Santa Cruz of the later period of work that's been neglected a little bit, and we're excited about that. In fact, we're excited that people are still interested in her. I mean, I'm very touched by that. 21 years later, it's amazing. Joan's been gone for a little while, but the work, she's still alive. It's just taken a strange turn, but she's still there, living through her work.